Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger, my friends. Today we have for you 10 essential tips to help you out for Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. Fatal Fury, it's been gone for a while. It's the first game in like over 25 years. So with this video, we got some tips for you at all levels of play, some more beginner focused, some definitely more advanced focused. And with all these tips, I'm just here to help you through the game, the roster, and helping you figure out everything that's going on. So there'll be timestamps here. Hey, hit the like button for timestamps. And otherwise, let's start with tip number one. So tip number one, and I know this is obvious in a way, but I have to say it. This isn't Street Fighter. Now I know you're saying, well, Rooflemonger, but Terry and Maya, my two favorite Street Fighter characters, are on the screen right now, and I know it can be confusing in this way. But yeah, this isn't Street Fighter. If you have any Street Fighter experience, and that's a lot of you, especially if you're trying this game, you're going to take some preconceptions to this that won't fit. Now, don't get me wrong, it's great to have Street Fighter experience. It'll help you out in this game, but certain things like jumping. Jumping in Street Fighter is both bad and also your biggest possible reward. Jumping in this game is more medium to lower risk and also medium to lower reward. Like say I got my cool combo here, right? And like if I get my big jump in, I'm definitely guaranteed my cool combo. Problem is, no, you're not. Notice how that didn't combo. This isn't Street Fighter rules where if you get the jump in, you're guaranteed whatever next hit. That doesn't work that way. Now, it's not to say you can't do it, because you absolutely can. As you can see, that comboed that time, so what happened? So I delayed my jumping attack. But unlike Street Fighter, if you hit your jump at the absolute top of the jump, you'll just not be guaranteed combos necessarily. This is a game that has three kinds of jumps, unlike Street Fighter has one kind of jump. So you have regular jump, you have a hop, which is much shorter than a regular jump, and you also have dash jumps, which cover more ground, right? Because there's more angles of attack, that means you can't just get the maximum reward off any given hit. This game is more jumpy, absolutely, because hops are a thing, and hops are great. And if you struggle with hops, check out the Rev Button section, because we got a great tip for you there. But basically, if you want the maximum reward off a jump, you have to delay the actual attack to as long as possible. Notice here, Mai, if I hit her at the top of the jump, I'm +4, which is great. But like, none of my heavy buttons 4 frames. They're all slower than that. Compared to if I jump and then delay the attack, then, okay, now I'm +8, and now my cooler attacks will actually hit. So basically, you're taking in a little bit of risk. If you want the maximum reward off the jump, you gotta wait a second, and thus introduce more risk to yourself that you might get hit out of the jump. But then again, keep in mind, this isn't Street Fighter. Sometimes a hop into a button is the poke. Just as much as like you doing the old back and forth, hitting the odd button are pokes. Sometimes a quick hop into a button is the poke. You don't get any reward other than hopefully you hit, but that's perfectly fine. A hop into a button is just a reward in and of itself. So just keep it in mind. While many Street Fighter concepts will absolutely help you out here, you can't play it exactly like Street Fighter, especially when it comes to jumps and aerial mobility, because there's just so many more options here. Especially because the old Street Fighter, like I jump and you uppercut me, right? That's the classic Street Fighter 101. That's not necessarily guaranteed the same way because of concepts like just defense. Because maybe I just defend your uppercut, right? I can bait out a response from you. Because even though you're not allowed to air block, you are allowed to air just defend. So if you have the right timing, your guaranteed punish turned into my guaranteed punish, right? So it's just a different game. Our next tip has to do with feints. So feints are a big part of the game on multiple levels. A feint can be literally just that. Like Marco here. Marco has a very prodigious projectile game. Like their projectiles, the fireballs, very fast, can mess you up, right? And he also has a fake out fireball. So maybe it'll make you react or jump or do something that you might have otherwise, thought the real fireball was coming, and then instead he faked you out, and now you're playing exactly into his hands. But it's also critical for pressure and combo structure. So we're using that fireball feint as our example here, right? Let's take stand heavy kick. So stand heavy kick normally is 1 frame advantage on hit, which is, okay, sure, whatever. But if we do this, because any move that's special cancelable is also feint cancelable, because I can do this into a fireball, for example, right? But if I do that into the fake feint fireball, notice now it says my frame advantage is 6 instead of 1. The thing about this is the feint recovers like faster than the actual kick. If I just let the kick play out, it's not as fast as me canceling in the feint, and the feint recovers much faster. Thus, I regain control of my character that much faster, so it has changed the overall frame data. So yes, that absolutely means I can get a combo now when I couldn't before. Sometimes feint combos aren't going to be big, but they're still better than not getting a combo at all, and sometimes they can be big. What's also 6 frames is Marco's crouching heavy punch. So now I can do this, and that's also a combo as well. And now I add these together, and when you know it, I'm getting some bigger combos, right? That's fantastic. That's great. And it's more than just the combos as well. Let's use our same stand heavy kick example. Normally on block, it's -2. Okay, that's perfectly all right. There's nothing wrong with that. But with that same feint cancel, because I recover faster, now it's +3. So that means, all things equal, I have now recovered before the enemy. The feint cancel lets me have advantage frames when normally I would have disadvantage frames. So again, now all things being equal, if we both hit buttons after the fact, I'm always going to win. So not only is it great for creating potential combos, it can also create pressure as well. So you got to explore around with it. It's different character to character, but if a button can be special canceled, it can be feint canceled. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Like, say jab here, right? At 0 on block. Jab in the feint, that's -7. That's punishable on block, right? Because it only works out when you do the feint cancel and it recovers faster than the actual move itself. So the actual jab recovers plenty fast versus the close heavy kick that we use is quite a bit slower, right? So it doesn't mean it's just magic, right? It only works with specific buttons, specific combinations to create combos or pressure. It doesn't just hit button, do feint cancel, and it's always going to work out in your favor. So play around with it character to character, but feints as a whole are very powerful in this game. Now, this one's a simple one, and it should be a great joy to people who struggle against fireballs. So I know a lot of beginners always, like the fireball, however it comes, is always the biggest issue. And this game has some pretty powerful projectiles. Thankfully though, in this game in particular, you do not have to respect a badly thrown fireball at all, really. Because we have the concept of just defense. So just defense, when you do a just defend, not only do you not take chip damage, you just want to have a look at the health bar here. Whenever you just defend any given move, you also regain just a little bit of health. And to just defend a fireball is not difficult. All you gotta do to just defend, just tap back before the move hits, right? And the window is fairly large. And if, say, if you've screwed up, what'd you do? Well, you hit back anyway, so you blocked. So worst case scenario, you block too early, but otherwise, you can look at fireballs giving you free health. And also, every just defense also lowers your rev gauge meter by a little bit. So it's kind of all upside. And many projectiles are multiple hits. And you can just defend multiple hits. So once again, have a look at my life bar. I gained 3 ticks of health instead of 1. And much the same here, your rev gauge will go down by 3 segments instead of 1. So if a multiple hit fireball is coming your way, you can take that as free life or whatever. You don't have to necessarily engage. Now, naturally, the projectile gets more deadly up close, but like the badly tossed full screen fireball that doesn't mean too much, you can treat that as free resources. You don't got to give it too much respect. And that's one of the stronger and cooler aspects of the game. And we're going to talk a bit more about these concepts later, but a badly thrown fireball can be part of your good offense. Now, one of the things about this game compared to other fighting games, especially modern ones, is defense is a lot stronger than most other modern fighting games by a fair bit, especially with some of the later sections we'll see. So you want to maximize your offense. And one of the best ways to maximize your offense is to create situations where the opponent can't do too much to stop you. So one of the things is when you get knocked down, there's all sorts of rolls. And we have that fully covered in the beginner's guide, which will also be linked in the video description. But basically, there's 4 kinds of rolls, so it's hard to keep people really pinned to the ground. But there's ways to take away the option to roll. So one of the easiest ones is just throwing people. If someone gets thrown, there's no roll possible. It's a hard knockdown. Also, super moves. If you do a super move, there is no roll possible. So, okay, fair enough, right? But here's the thing. Most of your cooler combos are going to end in some kind of special move, and from that special move, they're going to be able to roll. The situation where they cannot, though, you see here's Crazy Ivan, gets rolled on. Enhanced Crazy Ivan, though, no roll. So if you end a combo specifically with either a super or an enhanced EX Rev move, then there is no roll possible. Like, let me show you an example combo. So, okay, that's all well and good, but notice they rolled at the end, right? So I did the Rev Excel cancels, I did a cool break, I did the juggle after break. That all worked out, but they still get the roll out in the end. So while I got my damage in, I still gave them that defensive option, so why give them the defensive option? Exact same combo, but say I just don't give them the option. I don't break there. I just let that EX rock, and look at that. No roll, right? So sometimes either redo your combos to make sure you end with a EX Rev move, or just drop a combo early. Sometimes, you know, a few points of damage is worth the pressure. Because if I end the combo in this way, I can wake up with advantage frames in their face and they can't roll or do anything other than the universal defensive options. So this is a bit more advanced, but this is what we call a frame kill setup. So I whiffed my Golf Tomahawk and I did dash, and because I know they're not going to wake up, I'm exactly +4 advantage frames after that setup exactly in their face. So I can do, say, close heavy punch in their face, and they have to wake up into it. They have options, sure, but they have to wake up into it. So taking away your opponent's ability to defend themselves, super key, and ending with a EX Rev enhanced move or a super is a way to make sure they at very least can't roll, because roll is the easiest way to get out of anything because they have so many options and you got to guess which one of the 4 they're going to pick. Next tip is about the Rev Blow itself. So to do a Rev Blow, you have to be in your SPG, part of your health, that's fine. And the Rev Blow itself is armored. It's the universal defensive armored mechanic. So it is obviously and very easily powerful just for that alone. But just some notes about it, give it a bit more value than just you spam it as your armored attack. When used in combos, the Rev Blow is not always the strongest possible move you can use, but keep in mind, directly following up from the previous section, it does count as a special move. So that means you're not allowed to roll from it if you get knocked down by it. And you're allowed to end any combo as long as that move is enhanced, you can always do a Rev Blow from it, basically as another Rev Excel cancel. So whatever your setup, whatever your combo may be, just keep in mind it's a way to get more damage at the end, like at a minimum, right? The hits pretty hard at the end of a combo, and it'll give you the hard knockdown, and sometimes you can create setups of exceptional frame advantage like this one, or create setups of reliable frame advantage. Like someone like Vox doesn't have many ways to end a combo with a easy hard knockdown. Like you can do the uppercut and the dive kick, which is a hard knockdown, but depending on the frame you hit the button, the angles, like it could be different frame data across the board, versus air Rev Blow, just a big dunk down, you always recover with the enemy. So then say in, you know, more elaborate situations where you're already spending a lot of your resources, you want to make sure you make the most of it. So then this specifically will always be this specific frame advantage, right? So you can work with it in that way. Create reliable setups for characters that don't have many reliable setups. And of course, hey, once again, it's cool and it's armored, and keep in mind universal mechanics aren't universal in this game. So like say Rev Blow, since we already have Vox set up here, his is a fairly quick neutral strike, which is good enough in and of itself. Or Jenny though, hers is specifically an anti-air. Catch people in the air, right? It's not good mid-screen or whatever. So here it's specifically designed to shore up one of her weaknesses outside of combos. And keep in mind specifically, it's one of the few attacks you're not allowed to just defend against. So if someone jumps at you with Jenny, you actually have them dead to rights. They can't even like try to fake you out with a just defend or whatever. Someone like Kind's the premier zoner of the game, right? His has like 90% screen range mostly. So it's a counter zoning tool because it'll delete projectiles, right? So here specifically, if you're trying to fight back against him, he can see you throw a fireball and then smoke you for trying, right? So besides a combo ability, it's also very useful in different base ways besides just the armor for a lot of the cast. So that's really great. And also the universal auto combo of close light punch, heavy punch, heavy punch, heavy kick. It's basically the only thing you can add to that. You can always do a Rev Blow at the end of that. You can't super, you can't do special, so that's something else. But yeah, so Rev Blow, great mechanic. Now I want to talk about the Rev Button. So the Rev Button here is your friend. It makes your life a lot easier. Naturally, it gives you Rev Guard, which is a great in and of itself, but it's also a way for many shortcuts. Like if you struggle with hops, and I know some people, specifically you play on pad, some people have some difficulty doing hops. If you just hit the Rev button and you jump, it's always a hop no matter what. You can hold the button for 400 frames. It's always a hop. So if you ever struggled, like say in older King of Fighters titles for hopping, it's great. And it's also a shortcut for dashes, either back dash or forward dash. So I can just hit back and Rev button and do a back dash, forward and Rev button and do a forward dash. Or specifically for forward dash, I can hold Rev button and just hold forward and it'll keep forward dashing, which is especially great for like auto time setups. Also specific dirty tech, because you can, cancel a dash in anything in this game, right? Because that's part of the freedom of the game. So you can do the Rev button, hold forward, and if you mix in hitting down every now and then, it'll kind of cancel the dash, right? But then if you hit forward again, you'll cancel it because you're holding Rev button macro back into regular dash. And instead of this being the fastest you could go, you can actually go a little bit faster. So effectively it's wave dashing, I guess, if you want to put it that way. And also on most of the casts, it's also a way, the Rev button, to cheat getting just a bit more movement from a move. Like say Gato here, right? So cortical forward and punch and does the big old palm. That's great. But if I were to do the move as cortical forward, hold forward and Rev first and then hit the button, what's going to happen here is instead of just doing the move in and of itself, he'll briefly move forward and then do the move. So in fighting game parlance, we can call this like a Kara cancel, an empty cancel, where movement canceling first, keeping the motion in the input buffer, and then we get the move itself. So it's a way just to add a little bit more range to a move if you're looking for it. So all these macros actually really play out to your benefit. Here, I'll give you another example. Kevin's command grab is dragon punch motion and kick, and it's a pretty damn good command grab, right? So if we just do dragon punch motion and kick, but we start the first part of the dragon punch motion as forward and Rev, and then do the rest of the motion, he's going to do a very tiny amount of movement forward first from the beginning of the dash, and then go into the command grab. So instead of this, which, is great if we're beside the enemy, we instead get that. And I think you'll agree, that's a lot better, right? So now we can really reach out and touch someone. So the dash macro part of forward and Rev, and of course it could be run too, like characters will run with it instead, can make certain moves a lot more tasty. Just do the motion you're going to do anyways, just add the Rev button as part of the motion one way or another, and you can get some pretty astounding results. Now, our next tip is certain moves might be more invincible than you think. So one of the things the game does fantastically is it doesn't mess around. If a move's invincible, it says it right on the screen. You can see a big, yo, this move is invincible, done. No guessing, it says it right there. But the thing is, some moves have what we call partial invincibility. And that, unfortunately, is not listed or even anywhere in the move list. You just don't know if you're told. So I'll give you an easy example first. Pretty much everyone has the traditional uppercut. The heavy version of the uppercut doesn't say invincible. And these are the ones that you can break cancel, which are extra fantastic, right? So when someone jumps at you, you think, well, I should do the one that says invincible, and normally that logic absolutely plays out. However, for most of the cast that has the regular invincible uppercut style move, the heavy version is air invincible. So it's not invincible against like regular grounded attacks or projectiles or whatever, but it's still invincible against jumps. So out of the gate, that helps. So now I know in this situation specifically for moves that are like that, okay, I can hit heavy, that's good. But keep in mind, it keeps that air invulnerability even if you break the move. So now if I have a jump coming my way, I can break it and we get that little bit of a juggle. And maybe basic example, but I could turn that into a super move if I so chose, right? I can get a lot of extra damage. And that's kind of where these moves get so powerful. So basically anyone who has an uppercut style move, you can do the uppercut break cancel instead and get much more damaging uppercuts to stop jumps. So just as a quick example here, and I'm not even necessarily just going to be like terribly optimal, but just as an idea now, we can like take a giant chunk of your life from you, right? And also, because this game is this game and jumps are very powerful, there's obviously the idea that I'm going to bait you out. The worst thing that can happen to you is they specifically like are waiting for that uppercut to bait you out, just defend it. Then they're going to land before you and they're going to blow you up. But in this way of keeping yourself safe for using the break version of the uppercut, If they just defend, at least you didn't go all the way up into the sky. So then it's kind of a zero-sum game. So they bluffed you. This lets you basically call the bluff, and then you go from there. But then there's another category of a move that just happens to have invincibility, and you're not told about it. Which, you know, SK, if you're watching, like, please patch some of these like notes in. You put a little like asterisk somewhere, right? Like, say this move here for Tizok, Active Typhoon. This is like the leap grab, right? You wouldn't know this is an anti-air by looking at it. Because, like, why would you? It doesn't say anything about it. And it's a jump grab. Like, you're not trying to grab someone trying to friggin', you know, kick your head in, right? Except that's actually exactly how it works. So unfortunately, there is a category of move where it's actually invincible and the game doesn't tell you. So specifically, this move is invulnerable against jump-ins. So if they jump attack you, this is a way to stop them. And, you know, a lot of people, after they finish their jump, they're going to try to hit buttons or whatever. And in this scenario, they're going to hit buttons all they want into Tizok jumping on their head and getting command grabbed. So some moves, unfortunately, are invincible in some way, but you don't know till the game tells you. Like a really good example, if you don't know, I'm going to teach you, Tizok. Down and dodge attack has some immunity against projectiles. You can rest assured, it does not work that way for the rest of the cast, right? So there's a lot of like basically hidden properties that you don't know till you know. So explore is what I'm saying. Now, next up, this is about more traditional SNK stuff. SNK inputs can be weird sometimes. So like say fireball, quarter circle forward punch. Okay, the classic. And then, you know, you're doing stuff, you're moving forward and like, oh, okay, I'm going to do this, that, and I'm going to fireball you. Then whoops, I got my uppercut style move again because I was already hitting forward. And then I'm like, okay, I'll do the fireball. And the game's like, well, you're already hitting forward now. That means you just did the uppercut motion instead. And then you're probably mad and you might die because you did that. That's no good. And the old Street Fighter trick of doing the back button first to like clear the input, it don't work that in that way in the game. You're still gonna get the uppercut instead. So how classical, like King of Fighters styles, how we fix this is we basically jump cancel it. So basically do what you're gonna do and then hit up forward to do it. So specifically in the case of fireballs, right? So if you're moving forward and you want to throw a fireball, how we do that is do the fireball and then end and up forward. So instead of you getting that uppercut, you'll run forward and get a fireball. So this works in a lot of SNK games. It's not just this game. It's a classical input trick from ages past, but that's how you do it, right? So if you play a character with a fireball and uppercut and are struggling and are frustrated that you're getting uppercut style moves when you want fireballs instead because you're moving forward, this is how you solve that problem in this game. It's just really useful for combos as well. Like say Jenny, she has heavy punch, forward punch as a target combo, which you're going to want to use a lot. And say you want to go into a projectile after the fact. You do it normally because you already hit forward. It's going to give you her counter stance half the time because you already had the forward input. But if you just do her fireball and then hit up forward to end it, you'll end with the fireball instead. So it's good quality of life, makes life a lot easier. Now, this next one is a true classic and applicable for God knows how many SNK games over the years, and that is the button hold trick, and this exists purely to make your life easier. Because one of the harder things in fighting games is timing. Timing for wake-ups, timing for combos, timing for everything, and basically, this game will hold the input for a short time, whatever your last input is. So say, I want to do Terry, I want to do light power dunk, that's my invincible move, right? If I do the move and then hold it for the next short amount of time, it'll give me that move, as long as I'm holding the final input, on the first available frame it's possible. So say I do that move while I'm in the air. Naturally, it's not going to come out, but if I hold the button, notice how I landed and then it gave me the move. Like I'm still doing the air kick, right? But as long as I do it just before I hit the ground, it'll do it. Say I have a juggle combo and I want to do the heavy version of power dunk specifically after the juggle. Okay, so I'll just do my juggle and then I can pre-input the next power dunk and hold heavy kick and it'll give it to me on the first possible frame. So you can't do it forever, right? You can't hold it like 10 seconds ahead of time or nothing like that. But basically if you do the move, hold the button, and then the game will just kind of take care of the rest for you, as long as it's within, you know, a brief window roughly. It depends game to game, changes game to game. It could be anywhere from like 20 to 40 frames. But it will hold the input for you, so it just will make life so much easier. Like say you get knocked down in the corner and you want to wake up reversal. But then, whoops, I botched the timing. Like, I don't know the timing. Sometimes I'll mash it, and like I didn't get it. So all you have to do is right before roughly when you would be getting up. Okay, I don't know when I'm going to get up. Do it now. And I held the button, and it held that input for a good while, right? So basically, if you're looking for a wake up, do the motion roughly before you wake up. Hold the button press, and it'll do it. And this applies for more than just, you know, the uppercut style moves. Much the same here. Buster Wolf, right? I did that way before I actually got up, right? But I just hold the button press after I do the motion. And basically the first available frame, the game will let you do the move. That's when it will come out. So again, one more time, just do whatever move you want to do. Hit the button, and then hold the button. And then basically the game will do its best to give you that move on the first available frame. And it's very powerful. It's in every other SNK game. If you play like older King of Fighters games, you can use this trick there too. It's a classic, and it exists to make your life easier. And our final tip has to revolve around very strong defensive concepts of just defend and hyper defense, and how to abuse things like guard cancels from them. So the thing about that is you could basically do the concept like, hey, just defend. So move comes my way, I hit back right before it comes in, I get a just defense, great. And from just defend, you're allowed to do things like guard cancels and go into special moves. And the thing about this is you can do the special move with the just defense in mind. Like say Mai, or Fireball, quarter circle forward punch, right? Sure. And if I did half circle forward punch, like I don't need to, but it would still give me the input, except for the part where half circle forward begins with a back, or just defend input. So now using that logic, if I anticipate a just defend, I can immediately, as part of the motion, I hit the back, immediately go into the rest of the motion, hit punch, and then I turn my just defend into a guard cancel immediately into a special move. So the concept itself is very strong. So if a very obvious attack is coming your way, that's a really good way to defend yourself from it. Much the same. Say I'm in a situation where I know a specific multi-hitting move's coming my way, and then I have the option, instead of just defend, I can also hyper defend, and then hyper defend that specific move I'm anticipating, and that, just like just defense, is able to be guard canceled. In this specific situation, maybe it's not the most optimal one, but Billy on his plus on block move isn't necessarily getting to expect to get hit, especially from far away. But since hyper defense is a forward input, you know what else has a forward input to start? My uppercut. And there we go. Once again, maybe not optimal damage, but since I know I have a move that starts with forward, and I have to hit forward to get the hyper defense anyways, I can use that as the beginning of a special move input, and then just basically do my special move, but with the timing of the hyper defense. Now, same logic, I can be anticipatory about it, right? So I have to have that forward input no matter what, but now instead I want to use Fireball. So I need to do a quarter circle forward. So basically I enter quarter circle forward with the forward entering exactly when I want the hyper defense timing. And then I immediately hyper defend and turn that into a fan toss. So there's a lot of ways where I have to hit back or I have to hit forward for just defend or hyper defense, but I can basically make my move as part of the input for one of the two defensive mechanics and still get the move off into a guard cancel. And since I use the logic here, if I'm going to use quarter circle forward anyways, to get the move to turn into a fan toss, I can also use this to get 0 frame supers off of a hyper defense. So if I have to hit forward anyways, and I can do that as quarter circle forward, why not do one more quarter circle forward after that? And then boom, 0 frame super. Gotcha. Once again, this is maybe not an optimal situation for mine, but still gotcha, right? So I can use the inputs in a lot of very imaginative ways on defense. That's part of what makes defense so powerful in this game. Like I mentioned before how I could just defend with back into a half circle forward. I can do the same hyper defense forward and a half circle back. So forward and a half circle back is just quarter circle back for T-Zoc. So in a lot of situations, I could just turn a hyper defense into a lariat. So basically, as a defender, you almost always have a way to do something, right? There's very few true doomsday scenarios. Like say a fan toss here from Mai. Like obviously on block, blocks ain't doing anything about that. It's plus for Mai. And that one super you have that you think should work, doesn't actually work. But if we're smart with the inputs here, it's difficult to do a raw super off a just defend, because you gotta do it and then do the motion real quick. But say if it's so obvious and we know it's coming, I can do quarter circle forward, back, quarter circle forward, and then, oh, 0 frame, because it's off a guard cancel. That's a punish. Gotcha. I couldn't do it by doing the move raw, because the invincibility sucks. Obviously can't do it on block. But in situations where I know something's gonna happen, you always got a way out. This game rewards smart, inventive play, so keep that in mind. So there you have it, a wide variety of tips for a wide variety of skill levels. I know the last one got like really advanced, sorry, but like there's a lot of cool stuff in the game. I guess quick bonus tip before we end, just set your buttons. The thing about this is like stuff like feint, stuff like breaks, very core to the game. So if you want to set feint or dodge tack or like anything to a button, you absolutely can. Like the feint concept, right? Like feint can be 3 different things. You can either bind it to a button, it can be Rev Button and heavy kick, or it can be light kick and heavy punch. So that's like 3 different ways to do it, right? So there's a lot of different ways. When it comes to stuff like breaks, normally you got to do light punch, light kick, but you can also just hit the Rev Button. That helps. So like however you bind stuff, just make your life easier. Don't fight against the game, right? That's what I'm trying to say. But all in all, that is the video, my friends. Hopefully you learned something interesting. And if you got a specific hot tip you want to share with the world, by all means post it in the comments below. But we're at the end of the video, so thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Fatal Fury.